Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this key 79 entitled Spiritual Ego. Well, this is the chapter 4 for which today we're gonna spend a bit of time with the notion of humor, especially to highlight the functioning of ego, to laugh with it, and also to go a little bit deeper, because we will see some scenes, let's say some scenario of humoristic dimension regarding spiritual ego, but we will see with subtle messages, hidden messages, and also to understand that we can decipher subtle messages everywhere, in the sense that everything is initiatory, everything can be a quest of spirituality, and even in humor, or let's say in shallow activities. Well, before starting, I just want to present to you this wonderful landscape that I choose. I'm living here in the southwest of Turkey for a few months now, and between Bali and here. But here it is my preferred view, because we are down to earth, you know, with the the Garden of Eden, sorry. Actually, this is the metaphor of the original sin, which is not exactly that. This is a human interpretation. The original sin is just the apple of knowledge. It's just the fact to separate from the immensity, the great wall, the everything from individuality. Duality, you have individuality within duality. I mean, you have duality within individuality, to understand that we separate at this moment, and to make the experience of the let's say the density, the low vibration, and so on, is not negative. It is just an experience, okay, just for reprecising. And also you cannot really observe, because there are lots of clouds. Maybe they will disappear, but there is a very beautiful mountain reaching 3,500 meters. Well, just for you to see a little bit this landscape. That's why also I'm not completely in front of the camera, because I think the landscape is much more beautiful. That's what I'm what I am. Well, as a short introduction, I would like to understand, and I really insist on the fact that, let's say, what we're gonna see after is humor. But humor is, let's say, subjective, okay? There is different kinds of humor, but according to the culture and so on, the sensitivities, we can say that fear is universal, but humor is really completely personal, okay? For example, you have very famous one from, let's say, Jewish humor, English humor as well, very, very subtle, not accessible to everybody. I would say that American, let's say, humor is more down to earth, let's say. French humor is more sarcastic, and so on and so forth. Well, anyway, so yeah, for any taste. But we could say that this is important to keep this self, let's say, analysis, self-humor, because it allows you to be out of the painting and out of your ego, your culture, and so on. So I think is healthy to accept the humors and even some criticizes. Why I'm precising that? Because nowadays is more and more taboo, okay? Humor is taboo. A lot of topics are taboos: ethnies, races, religion, and so on. And then we are like kind of blocked, and we cannot afford as in the past. I really think that, I mean, especially in Europe, especially in Latin countries, especially in France, by the way, and everything can be subject to polemics. And this is really tiring. This is really, for me, reinforcing the duality, and it's absolutely not good. It's really, let's say, a wokeist, woke spirit, mentality. And for me, it's not giving, let's say, opening to people, and it's more on the other way around. It's my my feeling. Well, you know, before that, I would like to start why I'm talking about humor, and we will see a little sketch. But actually, I explained in the previous series of videos in the Matrix Different Reality, as Kant said, Kant, the philosopher, he said objectivity is relative, therefore subjective. Personally, I'm always saying absolute truth or absolute objectivity is the sum of individual subjectivities or individual truth. What does it mean? It means absolute truth, absolute objectivity doesn't exist. It's just a sum up. So imagine, it's like if you would need to take all the pieces of the masterpiece, which is absolutely impossible to have the vision, the angle, the opinion of everybody. So that's why it's really important to understand. And why I'm precising that, because there is let's say a current, the entitled skepticism. Skepticism has been founded by René Brock, okay, and this is a kind of science. I mean, is a discipline. Is more a discipline. In French, the name is not exactly the translation of skepticism. It is zététique, okay. It comes from zéten. Zéten means to seek or to look for. Okay, to look to or to look for. Okay, so what does it mean concretely? It is a discipline, this is methodology, methods, and this is a kind of behavior. The objective is to have a certain lucidity, certain discernment, and to avoid to go into a camp or another. It has been actually, this is old, like, centuries and centuries, because it was already more or less part of the Greek philosophy to 2,500 years ago. But recently it has been updated. And why he launched that? Because he wanted to confront science and a supernatural phenomenon. Not to take part from one or to another one, but to try to balance things, okay? Because a lot of people think that skepticism, this movement, is against spirituality. It's not exactly that, and it's not necessarily in favor of it's not on one way, and he tried to be objective. And why I think it's interesting, because to be frank with you, the objective is to reduce the bias, okay? The bias, the filter that we have for education, for that's we saw for the previous video. And this is more a methodology instead of a factual results, opinion, ideas, shortcuts, and so on, amalgams, and so on and so forth. So, what's the approach concretely is to question everything, okay? To question preconceived ideas, opinions, and so on, and always questioning all the time, okay? So it's concretely believing versus knowing, and also patient versus reason, okay? So the principle is a triptych. First, observation. Second, hypnosis, ideas, let's say, hypothesis, sorry. And third, experience, okay? So, concretely, this is the art of doubting and checking proofs versus convictions. It's good to have convictions, but, you know, it's like some people, they have the feeling, but it's not true. Is even our intuition, and I try to show it I think in the second video, in the second part, with the notion that sometimes, yes, our intuition is wrong, is false, okay? So it's good to feel it, but it's not enough, okay? Sometimes it's also good to think and to have a rational approach and to have a good balance, actually. For me, skepticism is a balance in between, let's say, factual and let's say analytic, and the notion of intuitive approach, combining both. So you know, it's doubt can be reasonable as well. You know, this is Cartesian coming from René Descartes. René Descartes is a great French philosopher, for which not really well perceived, like Nietzsche, German philosopher, not well perceived as well. He has been put in a certain cell, thinking that everything should be demonstrated, and he was really materialistic and so on. René Descartes was a mystic, okay? René Descartes was a part of Rosicrucian movement, okay? So very esoteric parts. René Descartes was talking about third eye as the seat of consciousness, of soul, sorry, the seat of soul. Excuse me, but the soul is absolutely not conventional, is absolutely not rational, and is absolutely not Cartesian. So Descartes was not Cartesian in that perception. It was only the perception of certain limited human people. Well, so let's continue. So I think this approach of skepticism is important as discernment, as lucidity. I did, if you remember, it was the key 46, and also I treat that in the previous series, Matrix. I don't remember, the BS was maybe the third video. Anyway, actually, to try to bring some more structure, some more rigorness into spirituality. Why? Because nowadays, so far, and especially the New Age trends, and the new arrivals in the spirituality are, some of them, of course, are quite low level and quite swallowers. Yeah, I say swallower. Without digesting, without chewing. And this is, for me, affecting the legitimacy, let's say, the perception from other people negatively regarding spirituality. And for me, it's exactly the same principle than few centuries ago with superstition and or the fact to believe blindly in a religion, okay, culturally speaking, and or because it was imposed, and or it was like this, so I was believing because my father was believing, and so on, and he was obliged, okay. So I think this methodology allows to mature a kind of spirituality, much more mature, much more down to earth, and also much more structure, once again, rigorous and more mature. Okay, I treated this topic, science and spirituality, impossible or possible love story, in 4 videos. You can check it. It's, I think, maybe key 70 or 73, 74, up to you to seek. So, but just to tell you, our civilization official, I'm not talking about Atlantis, but is Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe in southeast Turkey is 12,000 years ago. Okay, so within 12,000 years ago, and by the way, the civilization has been set up around the cult, around spirituality. Okay, so this is what I explained in the past and within the series of video. Anyway, just to come back on the point that yes, at the beginning of the old foundations of cultures everywhere in the world, science and spirituality were combined, and they were actually a complementarity. The diverse decision was especially in the Middle Age in Europe, and after that, let's say during the Inquisition, that we can say lasting almost 5 centuries till mid 90th century, 1850, Allan Kardec. Okay, Allan Kardec, the revolution of spirit and spiritism and so on. But before that, believing in nature, forces of nature, of the Mother Earth, 4 elements and so on, you were a witch. Why now? There is so much shamans and so on. This is in our true nature. This is paganism, and this is, let's say, the natural spirituality. Anyway, it's within our culture and in our DNA. But what I try to tell you that is only maybe, let's say, 7 centuries like this. Okay, 7 centuries, you can calculate around more than 12,000 years. It is not more than 5-6%. So it's a minority, the fact it has been separate. And during this period, Middle Age and so on, Middle Age or even Inquisition, Muslim countries, Muslim cultures like in Damas, Baghdad, and Andalusia and so on. The Muslims were at the golden age, okay? most of the Sufi and most of the greatest scientists were Sufi and were very intellectual, engineering and so on, and also mystic. Okay, so anyway, and matching also with Kabbalah, with the Jewish mysticism, like a complementarity. So what I am trying to tell you is the lack of proof is not a proof, okay, for science. And the danger of the extreme science is the scientists. The scientism. What is it concretely? The scientism is the science for science, and most of them they are against religion, spirituality. They think this is Santa Claus, this is fairy tales, and so on and so forth. And it's true when you see some really low level, let's say, currents or behavior and so on. This is very easy for them to have some, let's say, some occasion to shoot. Okay, but anyway, once again, personally, I don't think there is a battle between both. But actually, yeah, the difficulty is to understand that, for example, for science, what they have to also to open up their mind is something was true before or untrue before because they didn't have necessarily the instrument to measure. I give you an example: magnetism. Okay, magnetism, infrared, infrasound, infraviolet, and so on. So sounds and even the waves, let's say the vibration and so on, before it was not existing because they could not measure it. Okay, so hypnosis was occult. It was occultism. Okay, now it's used officially for certain surgeries and so on. So this is evolving. I'm trying to explain this is evolving. So what I try to explain now, why I do this short introduction, is because it's really important to have more rigorness, to have more detachment, lucidity regarding our approach in spirituality. Why I expect is more rigorness in spirituality and structure, and not swallowing like this without chewing, okay? And on the other way around as well, a certain openness and flexibility from science as well. Both combining are supposed to be in this new era. They are supposed to have a holistic vision, and I'm pretty sure that it can create some synergy. Well, let's start with our short, let's say, sketch, okay, for which I invite you to watch it first, put on pause, and then I will try to give you and to decipher. Okay, so it is in between the key 65 and 66. Okay, watch it. It's 25 minutes, and then get back to me. Okay, so first of all, like a disclaimer, this is a caricature, it is a parody, this is just for fun, this is humor, but through humor you can also convey some subtle messages, some let's say some symbols and so on. So as Mozart say, I don't like people without sense of humor, they are not serious people. Okay, keep in your mind. Okay, so concretely the name, I mean this title is channeling, okay, channeling or channel in like cool, fun and so on and so forth. Okay, so trendy, because we can say it is spirituality nowadays is kind of trendy, and especially since the pandemic, okay, in 2020, okay, because people, most of them, they were locked down, so they have more time to question the sense, the meaning of life and so on and so forth. So a lot of them, they started to open up the door, the Pandora box, and for the good, for the bad. Okay, but anyway, so we can consider within this parody, this sketch, this is not a superhero, but a super ego. So regarding the form, of course, there is some little jokes, like, you know, the attention spam. Okay, so he's cutting all the time, and this is what you can see in most of the YouTube channels. Okay. Why? So first, because there's a prompter, okay, they don't have notes, but they just read, huh? But they just short all the time, okay, they say one sentence, cut. Why? Also to create a movement, Okay, so they are focused also, because otherwise people are falling down asleep, which is, frankly speaking, for me, a question of problem of attention span is a problem of our modern society. Sometimes I listen to audiobook and I watch a conference for hours and I have my attention. Otherwise I do a break. But I don't need that you short and so on. For me, it's just for the show, okay? So even the music beside and so on. And a lot of people, they are more focusing on the form than the content. The form is the image, how it looks like, how is the landscape, how is the light and so on. And despite the content, the substance, the essence of the messages. And this is true for even in cinema. Some people, that's why blockbusters, I didn't say blockbusters, American one, they are very good because for the image is excellent and so on, but a lot of them, frankly speaking, the scenario is really dull, okay? And some let's say with less budget, less money. I know from the Italian or Spanish or Indian or Korean or whatever in the world, Turkish as well, very good cinema. They don't have a lot of means, but the scenario are definitely better. Okay, so but people prefer, and also because the American blockbusters, they have much more marketing and communication budget. But anyway, just to come back on the fact that this is more show. Okay, so even the laugh, you know, when he is saying a joke, there is a kind of laugh, you know, like in the sitcom, like Cosby Show, when you have a. This is always something I say when I was young, is to make sure that you know where you have to laugh. Okay, it's kind of a joke. But anyway, so even the background is fake. You know, he has a wonderful. It's like probably in Bali or in Malaysia and so on. So it's like. And actually, it's completely fake because at the end we can see it's a white screen. Why precising that? I told you, Instagram and all this kind of things. A lot of influencers, they are just fake. They have fake life. They just pretend they're happy and so on. But it's just a creation of an image. 40% of people are feeling sad or depressed because of what they see. In comparison with Instagram. And most of those who are influencers and so on, officially afterwards, they declare they feel incomplete and so on. It's like the star system. So all this is just a big joke and it's a big illusion. Well, you know, when he say you, because you are elected and so on, is like a proximity, which is same. It is, it's really bullshit. Why? Because most of the pseudo guru are talking like this and pretending they are close to you, but in front of a camera. Come on, you don't know anybody. So you cannot establish a proximity when you are attacking a massive audience like this. So we have to be coherent. You cannot do that, except if you want to fake people or fake yourself. You watch this video because you are special, you are elected. So this is a really, let's say, what most of gurus are doing as a trap. And it's working well. Oh, I'm elected because, you know, they are flattering the ego, the spiritual ego of people, okay, for one hand. And sometimes they are just lowering, they are just lowering people and lowering the ego. Okay, so it's on two axes. When he says Steven, so like even, you know, he play on the words, but it's a little bit hazardous. It's kind of paradise, but down to earth paradise. Yeah? Very, very, very shallow, flat paradise in a certain extent. And what is really symbolic when he say, you have to like, you have to subscribe, whatever you like, you don't like, we don't care. The more important is that you like. Honestly, watch. 99.99999% of the guys on YouTube or whatever, this is the first thing they ask. French, Italian, or whatever the culture, American, Australian, always asking to like and to subscribe as a finality. did I already ask you this? Never. Why? Because I think is infantilizing, okay, to take you as a kids, as stupid, okay. If you want to lie, you lie. You are mature enough to know if you want to share with people and so on. I don't need to prostitute myself and to enslave you as well, you know. So swallowers, you will appreciate what it implies. Not followers, is swallower, like people just absorb without chewing, without because all what people are saying, like the influencer, is necessarily gospel, is necessarily amazing. Well, when he say, it's really symbolic as well when he say, I have quite, I'm gonna talk about my awakening, I have quite experience, for 2 years, quite a long time, 2 years, okay, it's nothing, since the pandemic, it's quite prevalent nowadays, don't be jealous, don't reproach the mirror your ugliness. So this is typical, you know, it's like flattering ego and lowering the ego. And, you know, when he say this notion of I have my diploma, of course, is exaggerating. It cannot be like this in the reality. But, you know, when he say I awaken these D-dates, okay, 2020 and so on. This is what we can hear frequently recently. I awaken or enlighten this period of time. Come on, you can have an enlargedness of consciousness, yes, or let's say a kickoff or whatever you call it, whatever. But nobody would say I'm awakened. It's like if someone is saying I'm wise. If you say that, you are not wise because you are lacking humility. So this is for me shocking and we see it quite often, very often, even in the virtual spirituality, Facebook and so on. It's quite prevalent. So I will explain my awakening. Not sure you are capable to understand. Same, he's lowering people because he has superiority feeling, okay, and this is typical for a lot of people and new entrants, especially spiritual ego very high, thinking that before they were sleeping, now they're awake, and they think other people in the darkness, they are stupid. Okay, basically they are sheeps, and if they don't have the same rhythm than them. But this is quite this is a lack of tolerance as well, because most of them, they are quite average, low level, even if I don't like to compare. And also we could say, okay, but what you were doing 20 years ago and so on, the same. Honestly, and this is not spiritual ego, I say to you, I have an ego, I have a spiritual ego. That's a matter of fact. I try to manage, of course. But I was born like this. I was born 2 years and a half. I still remember thinking, feeling God, okay? Great old. Thinking that he was and feeling he was within me, within everybody, within the nature and so on, okay? So, I never had, let's say, I had some, let's say, levels of spheres of consciousness, but I don't have, like certain people, like an insight, you know, insight. The word is very strong. I never had that because I was born like this, so I didn't do anything special. But then, yes, of course, I study a lot. I study so much since I'm young. I travel a lot. I cross a lot of cultures and so on, not for having a diploma and so on, just for the pleasure of let's say, to emancipate myself, okay? To free myself of my BS, for my ego and so on. I hope you understand my point. So when he say the diplomas of the year and so on, you know, it's like the reward, like the employee of the month is exactly the same spirituality. But this is not so. I saw a few years ago a woman. She was just recently in it. And she became, okay, without any certificate, she were a coach, a spiritual coach for giving certificates for new coaches. Okay, what's your legitimacy? None. Not at all. Okay, so it was kind of a mockery or farce or whatever. Yeah, and by the way, he admits, before I was only focusing on the party, girls, porn, video games, you know, food. So it's not a judgment. Personally, I love football and so on, parties and so on, but he explained that before. It's like a big change. It was, and when he do like a spring breakers, for me, it's really typical kind of American way, you know, like in American Pie and so on. The guy really shallow that you can find in many places in the world, in Phuket, in Thailand, in special places. You will understand certainly what I try to tell you. I was not, and actually he said that he was also Mr. Nobody before, and now is Mr. Super Smart, okay? Which is actually, it's not that, let's say, sorry, it's, I'm not judging him, but it's character once again, but is part of many testifies or things I saw. So even, you know, he's a kind of arrogant, because when he tried to explain his adventure, his inner journey, and by the way, it's completely mixing up when he say he's using you know, the vocabulary of wake up, awakening, at first degree, like wake up, I was sleeping, and then, but we can also understand or understand, okay, if you can catch it, a subtle message, because it's a kind of this, it's a kind of illusion. He's playing on the words, what we call the language of birds, in the mysticism or green language. When you say I realize, we realize the real lies, okay, fine, but it doesn't master well when he say illusion. The word is an illusion, is kind of sickness, but because I put him the face of arrogant and a little bit limited guy, and thereby we cannot, if we don't take out and we don't have discernment, we cannot catch the fact is real. Actually, he's just talking, even if probably doesn't know, but he's talking about Maya. Okay, unveiling. Unveiling is the apocalypse. I explained to you before. It means unveiling the veils. Okay, so revealing the veils. Sorry, the veils of illusion. Okay, that we saw in the previous series of videos. So when he say that he's overwhelmed by a lot of questions and so on, like. I think, therefore I am, you know, the basic one, which is quite famous. And or when he say to be or not to be, what is the question? Which is normally, that is the question. But actually not really managing well. And also when he say death can die, this is a real one. I swear to you, is a real one. Someone was asking that on the French social media. And honestly, when you have this kind of people, you can think either it's a joke and or, I mean, all the question can be asked, okay, from the kids and so on. But sometimes you say, okay, we are really starting from far. But life is aware of living. It's funny because this is really childish way of, let's say, formulating. But in parallel, life, the living, is it conscious, aware about his life? It's like quite deep. It can be perceived as very deep. Like God, is he or is she, whatever, but is it, let's say, aware about his own existence? You know, it can be first level completely stupid, and or with a higher level, very deep. But in that sense, he is not aware about that. But we can be aware about that. When he, metaphor, when he say before I was sleeping like dead, like if I were dead and so on. So when he say, he talk about the law of attraction, the synchronicity. When he talk about Yolanda, she was in Tupperware and now she's in Quantic. I'm laughing a lot because it's kind of what I can experience. When I say it's trendy, yeah, it's a market of spirituality, of faith, and so on. So a lot of people saw it was working well, so they went, and they, because also it's exciting, huh? And quantic, we have to, I mean, a lot of people are talking about that, and this is completely, sorry, bullshit. It is absolutely not scientific. This is absolutely not rational, and is used in for everything. Is a master key. Okay, it's like the big trend now is energy, quantic, and so on. You know, this word that you use everywhere. Okay, so, but actually, when he say Procter and Gamble, of course, this is the big. When I say brainwashing, actually, it's a joke, because Procter and Gamble, indeed, this is for let's say washing products and so on. But there is also Procter. Who is a PhD, because every time his second name is PhD. He cannot survive if we don't pronounce PhD. A lot of people are like this also under the diploma. But anyway, he has some programs, quite expensive, Theta and so on. I've been, let's say, prospected through that, and usually it's organized in a certain way, American way, and also very commercial way. Anyway, for those who like it, that's wonderful. She eats quantic, she sleeps country. She tried to explain, I didn't really understand. She didn't explain well. This is typical, okay? A lot of people nowadays, I told you, they start spirituality, and this is really the Uberization, as we call it, okay? Customerization, okay? Like, dislike, okay? With popcorns, you explain me, I explain you. If you don't understand, because maybe you are limited, it's because of me. Okay, and this is nowadays the cancel culture, the wokeism is completely in this trend of just wait and see, and the elites is no, come on. We have also to accept sometimes that there are some topics some people are not capable to understand. It's a matter of fact. So anyway, when he say from emptiness you can do a lot of things, emptiness, fullness, he's playing on the word, but actually is not false also, because in the quantic mechanics, and by the way, quantic mechanics is exclusively in the infinite scale, okay? Infinite scale, it means that it is tiny scale that we can see. But the link, we can do it, and nobody is precising it, okay? I told you, my father is a great searcher for decades in artificial intelligence, for instance, and so I've been educated in it. But what I try to tell you, that's it's a matter of fact. The link is, what about the size of consciousness of an idea and so on. Okay, so anyway, just to come back on the point, that it's not so untrue that from the nothingness you can create things. Okay, this is the basic of, but the way he's saying is so simplifying. That's my point. Synchronicity, when he talk about other, like the word God knows what I see and so on, like navel gazing, and also because he suggests me what I watched just before. But yeah, the name is it is not synchronicity. This is algorithm. The mirroring hours. So mirroring hours, some people are seeing everywhere and every time, every second you have a mirroring hour, or even the gate, a new portal. Today there is 3 portals per week, so it's too much. I mean, for me it's too much, but anyway, I saw that there is a time order and so on, so it seems to be too much. But I swear to you, I had some Canadian friends, I thought they were joking at me, but they were not. It was in 2013, and they asked me, Aurélien, as you know everything, because we bet, are we in 2012 or 2014? I look at them and I ask them, they were not drunk, of course. Are you serious? And they were really serious. So they didn't know the year. Okay, are you in the middle of nowhere in the mountains? Well, anyway, so, well, it was the first book, okay, that I open. If you read this book, you are at the right place at the right time. This is typically a lot of people, they are doing that, and even in the book some people use that, but it's normal. Come on, how many books you don't read and is written the same thing, but you don't know. So every time you read this kind of book, it's normal that you have this feeling to be elected or to be someone. Well, anyway. Yeah, then he's oscillating with paranoid dimension. Okay, when he say that the psychoanalysis, she was jealous, she wanted to maintain me in the 3D matrix, but this is typically a lot of people, they shift and they go in the dark side, and then they see bad things for everything. And with shortcuts, with QAnon and so on, those people who always, you know, the ships, there is ships from mainstream and ships from conspiracy and really limited, very cheap stuff. The guy in this in his room trying to use let's say theories and so on, and or it can be infiltration also. Huh? Some people are talking about the deep state and so on, but it can be also egregores. It can be, but it's kind of if we don't have discernment, we are falling into. Okay, I'm not saying conspiracy. There is no real conspiracy. I say to you, Ajax, many example I gave you from history. Okay, anthrax, Tony Blair recognized it was a fake, nuclear threat and weapons in Iraq, it was fake, and so on. Pearl Harbor, it was fake, and so on, so on. Okay, so I'm not saying there is no conspiracies, but there is so many shortcuts, and it can be an infiltration as well to break spirituality and this new transition for a new era, a world to a wide. So when he said the world is waiting for me, only me for this awakening, cause the awakening, my awakening is the awakening of the world, megalomania. Okay, basically. And when he say, for example, she wanted to destroy my awakening and so on because of her name and so on. What do I hint? Anti-Semitism. Because actually in the new trend of spirituality, a lot of people, they goes to extreme right, you know, secessionist and so on, from states and so on, you know, especially the redneck states and so on. And honestly, it is exactly the same theories, like you know, the Jewish Masons and so on. This is from 1st century. We hear that. The first one, Nicholas II, Prior of Zion, and his creation, official fake conspiracy, and Hitler also after that. And it's still prevalent so far, and it's coming back with the new supposed to be spirituality, a part of it, of course, but you know, where is the limit? And this is really, really the cancer of spirituality and the real awakening, the world too wide. Well, yeah, when he is quoting for the brands and to have more money, when he say you have a coupon of 1.0001%, this is of course nothing. Then yeah, when I tried to read a book, but I didn't understand. He was too confused. Once again, because he is limited, so he thinks that he projects himself. So if he doesn't understand, he's not well explained. Okay, and also who is they? A lot of people, they are saying they, you know, like in the hidden part and so on. That some people want that to destroy our awakening, and with the culture. So this is typically what we call woke spirit, woke culture, and also cancel culture. Okay, we want to destroy because the elites, they have the power and they want to manipulate and so on. So all those who have a brain, who are philosophers, who are intellectual and so on, actually they are a threat. Okay, you know what's the name of this? Is popularism. Popularism is what has been used with communism and dictatorships. okay, systematically. Okay, for example, you had in Cambodia, in China, in many countries, you had during a certain period of time just glazes. Okay, you were embodying, okay, upper class, and then against the people you were, let's say, you were punished and so on, or going to jail or camps and so on. So this is really, it smells super bad. It smells really like coming back. I wrote a book. The name is The Dictatorship of Goodness. I wish one day I could translate it. I mean, translating is not a big deal, but to be edited, if someone is volunteer to edit for free, I mean, I will translate it, but then you have to correct, for example, the spelling mistakes and so on. But it is exactly depicting that in a dystopia, and we are completely in it. And it's supposed to explain a little bit what we are living now. Well, yeah, when he said that he used a spiritual coach, oh, she was really well experienced, and she was 18 years old. Okay, experience when you are 18 years old. She coached Tony Robbins, Oprah, Martin Luther King. Yes. But Martin Luther King, you can see he was he was dead before she was born. So obviously, but yes, and he justified himself, saying it was written. There were comments with the picture. How do you want to lie? And this is funny because this is typically, you know, the fact that some people they justify their theory like no, it was written on internet. Written on internet means it's true. It's not necessarily true. And also, no, it was on different websites. Okay, but one can copy another one, and like this, you have 10 like this. It doesn't mean that it is true. Okay, so fact checking, for instance, fact checking, they can be also influenced and so on. He was confused. She was confused when he say dark light and dark light, true light, and so on. Actually, this is really annoying as well. A lot. They are like a new, you know, the warriors of light. Some of them, they are like this. Spirituality. They are the new dictators. You know, for them, it's like a new diktat. Okay, to say this is correct, this is incorrect. Okay, and this is you have to follow, like Inquisition. And for them, if you're religious, you're a dummy, you're a sheep, you are, for example, or on the other way around, when you use some alternative way, like Reiki is dark, dark light, and so on. Reiki is ancestral. Ki means literally in Japanese is like chi for Chinese. It means energy. Okay, is the fifth element. Okay, I talk about that in 4 videos in the key 70 something energies. But anyway, just to come back on the fact that this can be dangerous, dark light, true light, and so on, because it's so confusing, and also at the end nobody understands anything. That's why I say to you, maybe it could be an infiltration as well. Okay, to destroy everything. But anyway, yeah, the true I am. I know who I am. The true I am. This is confusing because the true I am, the real I am is the soul, the higher self, meaning thereby the divine part of each one. Okay, so when I say I am the best and so on, this is pure. Sorry, it's pure spiritual ego. I did a burnout overdose. Actually, it can be also in the dark night of soul. This is what's happening. Most of the time you are overwhelmed with information and so on, and you can't anymore. And this happened to many people as well. I became an alchemist and shaman. I have good experience. Okay, within 2 years. Normally, alchemy is all your life. Okay, shamans is a tradition from father to father within the families. Within 1 year, one life you can have. When he say also with his friend Diego, he was playing video games and so on. He just had few sessions about, and he became an expert of middle way. Middle way is really old Chinese tradition from Taoism, and most is not so easy, and you don't take it with only few tutors. And this is the problem of nowadays. We destroyed, let's say, we are doing everything with superficiality. You know, I told you my father is a great scientist in artificial intelligence, and so people, they just read few articles of few books and they are more expert than my father. It's just it's so funny. Okay, so but anyway, we are destroying cancel culture. We are destroying also elites, intellectual, philosopher, and expert. Anyway, yeah, I'm channeling. I receive notifications, so the messages of the guides are famous because actually is just saying evidence, truisms. Okay, what is evidence? Like, this is the year of changes. Every year there are a lot of changes. Okay, so it's basic thing. But yeah, it's right. It's changing. If you don't have discernment, obviously, when he say, I see a lot of death. But every year, a lot of death. That's normal. A lot of births. So he didn't know. He didn't say anything. So it's just a joke, provocation as well. But when he finished by saying like like revelation, like love each other. Let's love each other. Actually, this is it's so deep and so on. This is something I already had. I did a conference 2 hours, and someone say at the end, it's blah blah blah, like super reducing. Yeah, but you just piss off for 2 hours for people you don't know. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I was in Asia, and for people I will never see. And yeah, I could have resumed by love each other. Okay, fine, but I can resume everything by a single word, and I can also stop talking as well, because as two things, Sufi philosophy, if what you have to say is not more beautiful than silence, so abstain, or silence is the language of God, everything else is poor translation. So why doing this video? No way, no need, by the way, no need to culture, no need to read books, no need to write books, no need to do anything anyway, and by the way, when he say the job is done, okay, no need to do anything. This is typically what we can hear or read, like the transition is done, the galactic are coming and cleaning up our ass and so on, no need to change anything. Okay, so this is typically what could be in the infiltration to avoid that we build it, this new era, to build it, be the change that you want to be in the world by vibrating and by having some real concrete project, new school, new association, new community and so on. This can change, can bring progressively from 3, 4 and 50. And not by wait and see, okay, like the snow, today they arrive and so on. At the end, well, I think I have a lot of other things to say, but I think you can deduct by your own. As a conclusion, I would like to mention a few things. The first one is a sentence that I wrote and is part of a synthesis of saint theses that you can download from my website, and I say the following. The name is Sage Passage. The true sage guides individuals like a transparent glass. It doesn't seek to shine, but to illuminate without dazzling, in order to reveal the deep substance of being, okay, of your true I am. And the second one is, the name is Question All Questionings. Never swallow any information without digesting it. Always question everything, even this advice. Just follow the path of the heart, allied with reason, which vibrates and finds an echo within you. Actually, I wanted to show you that even through a parody, let's say, very dull or supposed to be funny or sarcastic or whatever, everything is initiatory. Everything can teach you. Even someone completely limited and so on, you can have higher way of perceiving with the higher self, hidden messages that is not aware, is not conscious necessarily. It can be said unconsciously, but if you catch that, actually everything is initiatory. Football game, everything, literally, absolutely everything. In English, you have this word that I love, insider. Insider means, let's say, a mystic, okay, let's say. Insider means that everything is within. That's why I created this word, not understand, but to understand. To understand as remembrance through us. Okay? That's, I invite you to think about that. But insider is related to the fact that the beauty is in the eyes of those who can see or feel it. Okay? Think about that. Well, I think the most important thing I would like to reveal now is it's up to us to reveal, to see, to perceive, and or to give birth to the true I am, our true I am, and the true I am of other people, and to see it from other people, and to give birth of, to admire the Christ, the divine part of everybody. And the more we will do that, the more the spiritual ego, yours, mine, and theirs, will be reduced. Well, I invite you to meditate about all this, and I hope it will help you to shape the master key, to open up the door of consciousness, of love, or whatever you want. As you know, all the roads lead to Rome, and to the Dome, and to home. Thank you for your attention, and see you very soon.